on the day. So then that means that I just hit a 1300 trade, and then with my capital, with everything, that brings me up to 2000. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about this trade that we took right here. So these lines right here, these red lines are ones that I have already taken. So we're gonna put this into the 4 hours, previously on the 1 minute. So you can see that I was drawing significant levels a couple of days ago, especially looking at Tesla, right? We're seeing a huge retrace during all of this, market turmoil with all these tariffs, with all these economic conditions, which, is important to be reminded of, especially as we're trading. You have to remember economic conditions. And so that's to bring up that the reason that it's tanking right now is because right now we're in a lot of, we don't know what's happening, right? People are in a state of confusion. We're trying to figure out what's happening. We're trying to figure out tariffs that can happen with our products, right? I've been hearing stuff like that could lead to a 9% increase in all like iPhone sales. So, market is really what is like undecided, right? Or not undecided, but essentially undecided, right? So that being said, is I'm looking for moments where it's gonna start retracing back to the upside, right? That's what I'm looking for, because as I believe this whole market is tanked, and it is going to come up again back to the upside, right? So, but knowing this, we know that we're currently losing money in the market. So, while this is currently happening, I'm looking at significant levels at where it could retrace, right? That's this level right here. You can see that this level was significant already in the past, right? And so in October, you can see that it was down here. And the reason it touched it once, and then from here, that's when it entered this huge bullish upwards movement, right? And we have these mini levels, as I like to call them, right? Just levels that are pretty significant intraday, but that won't dictate overall movement. So levels, that it will hit, maybe retouch, especially from a day trading perspective, it could be good. But, from a long-term perspective, that level, it's not going to touch that and then start a bullish movement over, like that you're going to see over, a few months. This is 4 hours. You can see I'm looking back in October. So now we're going to come back here to local, right? Now we're wondering, okay, what's happening today? So you can see that I explained where I got these levels, correct? Okay, so we got that. Next, so the reason I want to talk about the trade today is because look at this. So these levels, the levels that I drew were very significant, right? Especially this one. This is the one that I'm looking for at the most. One of these up here are one of the mini levels that I'm looking at. And so whenever I'm looking at the mini levels, then I'm looking at how those work in conjunction with my indicators, right? My indicators will work over bigger time frames, like the 4 hours, whether or not you're looking over past year, over 6 months, right? Those will show indicators of movement, of course, but those are over the bigger time frames. But I'm wondering how the movement is going to happen today. My job as a day trader is wondering, okay, how is this going to be affected today? So I want to make sure I look at my mini levels too, because those are going to determine how I trade intraday. So now to the trade I just took. So you can see that I just made, I was up already $700 on today over Tesla. So if you guys look, I don't think you can, okay, so I have to drag this, okay. So let's see if I can make this screenable, okay. We don't necessarily need this big. Actually, okay, so I'll just show you all right here, just so you guys see that I'm not capping. Right here, actually, we'll put this all the way over here. I drag that. So right here, the price per day. So I was already up $700 on the day. So then that means that I just hit a 1300 trade, and then with my capital, with everything, that brings me up to 2000. So the move that I captured is I'm looking at my. Once again, this ties back into the levels. So right here, I'm looking at this. I was watching this all morning. You're seeing that this level that I drew a couple of days ago, my mini level is very significant, right? You can see that it still stood throughout the day. So that's my test number one. Is a level that I drew previously still holding for today? And you can see at the very beginning of the day, when with the most volume, with the most people in the market, you're looking at it, it trades above this. It's trying to decide whether or not it's going to break below or high or below, right? Now we're in a state of turmoil. We don't know what's going to happen. So we can naturally believe that it's going to break below in the morning. That's what happened, right? You can see they tried bullish. If you're looking at the pre-market too, you can see that it tried breaking, especially VWAP in the 200, right? The VWAP is this white line right here. The 200 is going to be this yellow line. So you can see it tried peaking over this many significant level. It tried peaking, right? It traded above, got above it, sustained it, couldn't decide if it was going to stay above it, went below. But you can see that buyers were still stepping in right here at this 260 level, right? That level is significant because buyers are stepping in, and we're seeing that pre-market, right, after hours. You're seeing it keep peaking above this level right here, keeps touching it, showing, and then buyers finally drove it up above it. It couldn't sustain that, which shows that, okay, there's still sellers in this area, right? There's still buyers and sellers fighting at this area. So with this level of indecision, with the overall market conditions, we can make an assumption. I made the assumption, okay, it looks like it's trying to peak above. It looks like it's trying to catch that bullish movement upwards. But now we have to ask, is that just for today? Is that economic, right? Or is this driven by economic conditions beyond stocks? So I will put it over here again. Make sure you guys capture the full chart. So it started peaking above this level. You can see it got above it in pre-market, showing, okay, there are buyers here that are willing to drive this price up. But it's the same as the aftermarket hours, right? Now the sellers stepped in as soon as it reached above this, because we know that right now it's probably going to go down for today, right? So it did that. It did exactly that. It got above here, reached a significant level of 266, then immediately drove down all the way to 250, right? That's a $16 move down. So just within the day, 266 down to 250. Okay, there's serious sellers in this market. But now what we learned from the pre-market is that there are buyers willing to step in at certain prices. So now we have to figure out, okay, are we going to join the buyers or sellers? Right, so then this morning I decided that I was going to join the sellers. Right, so then this morning what I did was, because, I want to catch significant movements in the day. And so then I was in class here from 11 to 12, and I was trading. So I caught this move down here, caught this move down, right? And how I knew it was going to continue to go down and why I was confident in my decision. One, big economic conditions say so. Two, you can see we're trading below VWAP, which the volume weighted average price. So, over X amount of days, it's going to show volume, right? According to the volume, where is this going? Is this more likely to go up or down? We can see and if it's below the 200, okay, so I'm going to give you all a little tidbit. Now, this isn't as promising in the 1 minute, right? Because it's like minute by minute. So, like if you were to switch to like a 5-minute level an hour, it's going to be more significant. But in the 1 minute, it still stands true that if it's above the 200, we can most likely assume that it's in an uptrend, right? If it's below the 200, that shows that it's, in a downtrend. So it hit above, so it was trying to hit an uptrend. But immediately market sentiment drove it down, right? Because everybody's scared. They're taking their money out of the market because people want their money to grow, right? It's only the day traders who can capitalize on the movements down. Most people will get scared and take their money out. We want to capitalize on that. So it's trading below the 200. Okay, it officially entered a downtrend, right? And it's trading below the VWAP, showing, okay, now we have a lot of selling. Now consumer sentiment is that they're just selling, right? So now people are exiting their positions, which is why there was such a sharp movement down here. You can see especially it was trading above the 200, right? It tried to break it. As soon as it broke below the 200 significantly, then it, boom, immediately broke down, right? Because look, so sellers drove it down to this price right here. We're going to look at this. So if you look, you can see that they drove it down once. Buyers stepped in, drove it up because they're trying to buy that uptrend. They're trying to catch that bullish movement. Sellers brought it down again. Right now they're fighting because now sellers brought it down to here, but we still know that there's buyers. So buyers were able to drive it back up to the significant level right here. Do you see that? So I put my cursor right here because look, now this becomes the new resistance, right? If it's trying to catch a bullish movement upward, if it's trying to catch a movement bullish upward, it can't, right? Because it's getting caught right here at this price. But it was significant enough to be the support previously earlier in the day. Right, so now that it broke below, you can see that now buyers are trying to push it up. They can't do that. We already know that sellers are in the market, right? Seller sentiment, overall market conditions, going back to that. Boom, drove that down. So I caught that move in class, and then that was my $700 trade. Now today, I just hopped on. And then you can see that I didn't know that the market went up. I was in a coffee shop with a girl. Ooh, cool, you had a date, so I wasn't in the market to catch this bullish upward. But now that I'm looking, I hop back in maybe around, so this level right here is where I started trading. Okay, now so at the 260 level, so I knew based on everything, people were most likely going to continue to drive it down. But I also know, based on all my analysis so far, that there are buyers willing to step into the market, right? So what I did was I started to capitalize. Right now I'm looking for the levels that buyers are trying to step in because we know that buyers are in this market right now, right? We saw it earlier in the day. So there is more sentiment to be bought upwards. So I saw that, okay, well, it broke below the 200. So obviously if it's below the 200, I'm not going to trade it to go up, right? Because it's in a downtrend. If it's below the 200, why would I try to go up if it's so obviously going down, right? But the fact that it retested it here, broke, and then of course it's going to retest the levels, and then it broke above VWAP, which is why you see such strong movement and then such strong down movement, because obviously this was more so just people getting in and out of the market, but obviously the significant levels are still going to stand. So as soon as it broke above the 200, it had such strong momentum going up that, like, where are the sellers, right? The sellers are going to have to show their hands at some point. They did. Came right back down to the 200. So that's my first confirmation. Okay, is this going to stay above the 200? And is VWAP still a significant level? The answer here is yes, because it came down to this. And then it came up, it's holding above now the 200 and the VWAP, showing, okay, now we can consider start to buy in, right? But I'm not confident enough yet to buy in at this level because I know that sellers are still in the market. And as of right now, anything could happen, right? I am not sure of what's going to happen in the market, especially with all this intraday madness, right? So I want to confirm my move, right? I want to be confident in my move, right? So this move showed me okay, buyers are willing to step in and sellers are still here, right? That's what this shows me, is buyers are here, but also so are sellers. But that also makes the levels more significant, so we can trust our levels, right? Because then if there's buyers and sellers in the market, if it's kind of, if we're trying to figure out who's in control, then, they're going to show their hands in the levels, right? So then that's what we're moving, is we're moving on the showing of hands. So we can see that I'm looking now at that 260 price, right? Because even prices are more likely to elicit reactions. That's just human nature, right? So it went up above. And I'm looking at this 260 because look, earlier in the day, that was a significant level, right? You could see it trending around the 60 level before it really broke down to the sellers, right? It came up here to this, and then it broke above that, but immediately broke down. So this level is still significant. So once it got back up VWAP, once it was able to find support on the 200, and once it was able to break VWAP, of course we're going to want to know if it's, because we know that it broke VWAP so easily, we want to know that it's still a level that people are considering, right? Because if it's not a level, if it's not showing as significant, then that shows that the moves are very turbulent, right? It shows that there really is no certainty in these movements. If it's just so easily breaking VWAP, right? If it's showing VWAP as a significant level, it's going to show resistance and support, right? So it barely did that, right? It did that a little bit here, immediately broke up, but of course because, there was just momentum driven, so of course it came back down. But it broke back up 200, so now we're looking, is it going to retest the VWAP? Came back up, it did. It came back down to VWAP. That's my first confirmation that these moves are real, right? That, like, this isn't just buyers and sellers in momentum and tandem, right? It's like, now these are real people fighting for real positions. So what I did was I saw it peak back down. I'm watching these candles. I'm seeing, okay, we're seeing a lot of buyers step in right here, right? We're seeing a lot of buyers step in. So once it broke down, once it retested, then I went, okay, once it retests again, I want to know that, because look, it's one candle. So this is a 1 minute. So on this 1 minute candle, one candle came back down in VWAP. That's not really it finding support, right? That's showing that there's sellers willing to bring it down. So I'm looking for more confirmation of support, right? And you can see that this, came down. Buyers set there, probably buyers got in, came back down because of momentum, right? We want to see a real support here. So that's what this showed me. So as soon as this showed me that, I went, okay. So now I stepped into the market, and then I bought in here. And then because of that, I was confident that this VWAP, right, it was trading above the 200. So if it's trading, it's in an uptrend. So now it's safer to buy. If it's safer to join a selling market, if it's buying, if it's above the 200, right? That's not always going to be true. Make sure you know that with healthy caution, right? Make sure you guys take that into account. But here, so that's when I stepped in. And so I bought it at the 260 because it was so significant in the past. So as soon as it drove up, right, so this was my mini significant level. So I set my stop. So I bought in here. I set my stop right below VWAP, right, because I know that these two levels, right, when VWAP and 200 are so close to each other, any move could really propel it in any way, right? So I put it right in the middle of VWAP and the 200 because I didn't want to be caught in a move that was just going to immediately push it down, right? I have healthy caution entering the market. So I put my stop right here below VWAP. And I also put my stop right here at the mini significant level of 263 because look, it was significant earlier in the day. It's most likely going to be significant again, right? It's a mini level because it's probably not going to determine the stock's move over a 4-month period, but it definitely will intraday. And it is, right? We're seeing that happen live. So So I put my stop here, and then that was the $1,300 trade that I made. Guys, if this was helpful, please consider subscribing. I'm gonna start releasing these videos of me trading, just sort of explaining. And honestly, I want to have fun with this. Obviously, like, this is gonna be my first video. So guys, please leave suggestions. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you guys want to see anything specific. But hopefully, hopefully you guys continue to catch more trades, and make sure, as a technical analysis trader, right? Obviously, this is one perspective of a million, one of a million perspectives. So please find somebody who aligns with your level of trading. I am naturally a risk taker, and I have the capital to day trade. So I am naturally going to be leaning into technical analysis, but there are many ways to trade. Don't get stuck on this being the only way. Yes, it is the most profitable, but it is the most risky, and most day traders end up negative. Okay? That is such healthy caution. And that's not me trying to discourage people from becoming day traders. That's me telling them, go into it with healthy expectations, not knowing that you're going to trade the same as me immediately, because that's just simply not true. Right? I've been doing this for such a long time that I've experienced to lean on, that I naturally already have a thought process that I enter in. But somebody entering the market isn't going to have that thought process. So now anything is going to seem significant, right? Any change. So I'm able to keep a cool head while entering my whole process. Whereas, like, if somebody who's new to trading, one step of the process may make them scared because it's not going the way that they think it should go. So then they immediately, right? But it's like me, I'm able to go through them with a pretty clear head and look at the end objective. So that's to be saying, if you guys are going to become day traders, please read. Make sure you know your markets. And make sure you know yourself too in your risk management, okay? I actually know myself. I love some risk. One thing about me, I love some risk. But also, back to trading, I guess, back to the market, right? That's what this is about. Anyway, right here around this 263, you can see that it is significant intraday. It is a good thing that I got out, right? So now look at this, right? It's just trading. It's trying to decide what's going to happen. I'm looking right here. So the purple line is the 50. So this right here, that's going to be my 21. And then 50, 200 moving averages. You can see it's pretty healthily been respecting the 50. So I could have traded off the 50, but the only reason I'm using it as confirmation is because, once again, the 50 isn't enough to determine actual moves. That's just the average price. Guys, once again, if this was helpful, consider subscribing, leave a like, and I will keep doing more videos like this. Goodbye.